live with it. Hey, shalom, shalom. Bear with me, brothers. Just give me 1 second. Check the Let me check the live feed. Make sure everything's good. Let me check the live feed. Make sure everything's good. Let me check the live feed. Make sure everything's good. Let me check the live. All right, cool, cool. All praises to Yahweh by Shem Shai. All right. All right, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to our powers. Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rucha HaKodash. I want to say Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, and Brakatah Yahweh Shai. A giving up honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and they have taught us this truth that are constantly willing well through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. A peace, mercy, and blessings to the beloved Akim that are out there pushing this word wholeheartedly in truth and in sincerity, that are not wavering to the left nor to the right, but constantly staying on that straight and narrow, fighting for your crowns in these last days that we are truly living in. Even shalom to the few sisters, the aquas that are out there, those that are listening to learn in silence as the scriptures command you to do so, as well as the Israelite foreigners, those that may look like the other nations, but their seed line is going back into our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, I'm the brother Ira, coming back with another edition of the Friday Night Live, which the Lord willing, these lessons do be edifying to the Lord's elect. All right, and there's a lot going on concerning prophecy. All right, as you're seeing things ramp up. All right, you got the MOTB that is being spoken about. Okay, all right, which we constantly keep harping on. The last major pieces of prophecy. Okay, which they're talking about World War III. All right, Trump and Iran. All right, which we know that there's a major backing of Iran with the allies of, China and Russia. Okay, so a major global war, a conflict, okay, is rising right now as we speak. Okay, as well as you got wars here in the U.S. Okay, all right, you got wars here in the U.S. All right, you got all types of tensions between the different civilian classes. All right, the lower class. All right, the upper class. Okay, you got Edomites that are divided amongst themselves, right? So we're just seeing a lot. All right, as this is only the month of February. Okay, in this so-called new year, but you see prophecy is speaking. All right, prophecy is speaking, man. All right, so with no further ado, I just want to just go into this video. Okay, which they're pretty much pushing this bill. Okay, which is dealing with the H-2303, okay, which they're saying that there's not going to be no microchipping for the employees, okay, all right, which this is not going to go through, okay, because the plan is to microchip the world, all right, which will bring the elites, starting with the Rothschilds, all right, the red shields, the real red people, the Edomites, right, the self-proclaimed white people, all right, the top, all right, bacon families, okay. They want total control over the world, all right. But we're just gonna play this video to bring out some edification, okay. Let's watch this video. Let's watch this video. All right, so let me bring it back up. All right.
Issue is an issue that I call, hey boss, don't microchip me. So there have been proposals that employers, this starts in other states, are asking, it always starts out voluntary, for employees to have a microchip under their skin, like in their hand, let's say, so that you just wave it in front of a reader, and it's used for security or getting into a building or...
It's like your brothers. All of a sudden I want to go off.
Accessing certain areas is supposed to be really convenient. But of course, this idea horrifies a lot of people. So a bill has been introduced by Representative Breanne Thomas she represents Seattle and Vashon. She's a Democrat. Her bill is HB2303, and it would, very simple, prohibit any employer from requesting, requiring, or coercing employees to have a microchip implanted under their skin. This is an obvious idea, if you ask me. The problem with these proposals, and again, this has started in some other states, is it starts out voluntary, and then before you know it, the boss is saying, no, it's mandatory. The other part of coercion is they'll say something, the company, let's say, sometimes the government.
All right, like we've been saying through the Holy Spirit, right? There's going to be a time where, they're going to hit you where it hurts the most, which is your finances, all right? Which we said that this thing will be connected to your finances, your information, your records, okay, who you are as a person, all right? And, that's how they get you. They start things off as so-called voluntary, right? And next thing you know, they flip the script on you and then make it mandatory, okay? And then, what takes place? People that down and out, need money, can't survive, right? On their last leg, getting by, well, they just gonna openly take it. And the Spirit's been having Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua been putting the Spirit on individuals to actually have dreams of taking the micro C-hip, all right, which is showing you how close we are to this thing happening, okay, all right, and you know what? Before I even continue the video, let's grab a precept, okay, because I was reading the book of Jeremiah, the 28th chapter, concerning Hananiah's false prophecy, okay, which, you got false prophets that are out there, okay, that are not prophesying and teaching about the MOTB. They're not warning their congregation, all right, and when you read into this story of Jeremiah and Hananiah, okay, the Most High made a mockery out of Hananiah, and he actually, what Hananiah prophesied about, which was false, he pretty much, the Most High pretty much made it to where there was going to be a double bondage, a more enforced bondage of the children of Israel, okay, and that's what this chip is supposed to be. It's supposed to bind you, but even more cruelly, because they want to control you and everything about your aspect of life. They want to change you, they want to alter you, okay, like we've been saying. Esau wants to be a god, so he wants to make you his new creation, okay. And matter of fact, let's just read into this, all right? So I'm gonna read it from the top. This is Jeremiah chapter 28 verse 1. It says, and it came to pass the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, in the 4th year, and in the 5th month, that Hananiah the son of Azor, the prophet which was of Gibeon, spake unto me in the house of the Lord, in the presence of the priests and of all the people, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke off the king of Babylon. All right. Now, America is the daughter of Babylon, or Babylon the Great, okay, which is a spiritual name, okay, for the place of confusion, okay. But this is dealing with ancient Babylon, right? I want to make the clarification, okay. But then the spirit of these Edomites that are ruling, they want to put a yoke back on you, okay, and the yoke that they want to put on you is this RFID chip, okay. Let's get the word yoke, right, which You go down to the it says isle. Okay, that's the Hebrew word, which when you go down to the Guinness Hebrew Chaldeans lexicon, it says isle, a yoke, a curved piece of wood fastened to the pole or being laid upon the neck of beast for drawing, right? And that's how these Edomites view you, okay? Right? You Jakes, or and even you lower class Edomites, okay? You two-time losers, man. These other tiny tops, Edomites, small hatters, okay? They view you as nothing more than just cattle, you know? All right, and the word that they use is goyim, okay? All right, and they want to change the goyim to fashion according to their will, okay? Matter of fact, like I said, let's play this video from what I was watching earlier from Noah Yuval Harari, right? This tiny top, small hat. Let's check out. Let's check out what he was saying. Okay. Let's watch this so you can hear it for yourself. This is what they've been pushing.
Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Today, we have the technology.
He said that's over, you know? And what they saying is going into the grocery store, spending physical cash, right? You know, doing under the table deals where, you know, the government can't get their piece, you know, can't be taxed. No, they want full control over everything, you know? They want to know how you spend your money. They want to know about your whereabouts at all times. They want to know what your thoughts are. They want to see you in the bedroom when you with your woman. They want to know everything about you. You see? That's how deep that they want to take this thing. Okay? You know? And these Edomites are freaks. A lot is coming out about the Epstein files. The world is in the uproar over the whole Epstein thing. Okay? You know? New Delhi, them Elamites, you know, one of their PMs or government officials, the people in the uproar because his name was found in the file, you know. All right, so people in the uproar right now. All right, and this is what's going on. This is what they're talking about, man. That's why they're changing the system up right now, and this thing is not going to disappear or be swept under the rug or go anywhere because why? This is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai's prophecy, okay? You know, as the scriptures say, that we're supposed to give them warning from him, all right? That's what the true prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai are doing. We're warning about these things, and even though we sound like a broken, you know, record, right? But that's how you know that we're dealing with the real Israelites, because that's how Jake are. Jake is stiff-hearted, or stiff-necked and hard-headed, okay? So you got to constantly say the same shit to Jake over and over and over for them to get it. And even then, Jake still don't get it, you know? But we just in those times where Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is making all this evident. That this, your free will, that's going out the window. And they're setting up all these different poly crises, you know? Hey, never let a good crisis go to waste. All right, they're using the Hegelian dialect, pressure from above, pressure from below, right? They're using all different nefarious means to make this thing happen. And that's why the false prophets, the Lord is getting ready to deal with you, because you should be speaking upon these things, all right, as the real men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai are doing. Okay, let's watch some more.
To hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it. Surveillance.
See, and he said to do a good reform. Okay, all right. Let's look up the word reform. Let's see what that says. Let's look up the word reform. Okay. See what that says. Reform. Reform refers to the improvement or amendment of what is wrong, corrupt, unsatisfactory. The modern usage of the word emerged in the late 18th century and is believed to have originated from Christopher Wyville associated movement, which identified Parliament's reform as its primary. All right. So reform goes into what? Policies. Okay. Right. Let's get this in the book of Daniel's chapter 8 and verse 25. It says, and through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hands. Okay, so we know that this is dealing with Antiochus Epiphanes, all right, which he was reigning during the Greek Empire. But these are the same Edomites that are back today. Okay, you know, he also had a godlike complex. He wanted to be God. He wanted to, you know, put everybody under a one world rule. Okay. Everybody had to be a Greek during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, you know. And if you didn't worship the Greek gods and the Greek customs, they will put you to death. Read that in the book of the Maccabees, man. You know how they were killing and murdering Israelites from not, you know, changing to the custom of the Greeks. So these Edomites have the same spirit today, but through this technology. You know, now you know they'll be able to cut you off from the system, you know. All right, and that's why we're gonna have to have faith, okay? Because see, when we see this thing become mandatory, all right, and we don't have access to these jobs and we can't pay these bills, we can't let that trouble us, you know. We gotta remember the scriptures that say that my servant shall eat, right? Proverbs 10:2. Right, the Lord shall not have us famished out here. Okay, you know, Job the 5th chapter that goes into how, you know, we shall not be troubled in the time of destruction. Okay, we shall laugh during those times. So that's a big part of faith that Yahweh by Shema Shai has to give us and bless us with, because see, these Edomites is getting ready to cut everybody off from the system that don't take the MOTB. You know, like we've been warning about. Okay. And there ain't gonna be no changing it, because see, if you try to save your life, right? Because you might have certain Israelites that try to tell you, nah, just go ahead and take the chip and get food for yourself, right? So that way you can live. No, you're gonna be destroyed, okay? Because there ain't no take the chip and then try to pull it out your body. Nah, the Lord ain't having that, okay? You know, the Lord gave a strict commandment saying, you cannot take that mark upon your body, okay? And if you take it, you're going to meet Yahweh Shai and the angels and the elect are going to watch you burn, man. You see? All right, so let's keep reading on this. Daniel's 8:25. It says, and through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hands, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. So like you all know what Harari was saying. He was saying that the reform, they're going to bring a reform, okay? And at first, what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to make it to where, you know, it's not mandatory, you know? But then the jobs will change that on you, okay? And that's what Esau's been doing, all right? Changing up policies, changing up certain laws, okay? Rewriting things. Okay, at the stroke of a pen. It's just that easy, you know. But that's how Jake get caught up. You know, right? Because y'all people are foolish. But let's watch more of this video. We're gonna go back to it. Play it from the beginning.
Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will. That's over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it.
Natural selection is replaced by intelligent design. The era of inorganic life is now beginning.
In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. We are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design. Humans are now
Alright, so you heard him.
animals.
He said their intelligent design. Alright, which I'm gonna go back to Jeremiah chapter 28. Okay. Alright, because this is what all Israel should be preaching about. Okay, warning about. You know. This is Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 2. It says, "Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke off the king of Babylon." Right now, this is talking about, you know, ancient Babylon, but I'm quantifying it for today. All right, in these times, because the yoke is also referring to you being a animal. Okay, right. So what these Edomites are trying to do is they're trying to put a yoke upon you by using the chip. Okay, that's why Yuval Noah Harari said you will become a hackable animal. All right, and these tiny tops, these 1948ers, man, they look at the people as goyim. Okay, so you're an animal in their eyes. Okay, so it says, "Within 2 full years will I bring again into this place all the vessels of the Lord's house that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took away from this place, and carried them to Babylon. And I will bring again to this place Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah that went into Babylon, saith the Lord. For I will break the yoke off the king of Babylon." Then the prophet Jeremiah said unto the prophet Hananiah, in the presence of the priests and in the presence of all the people that stood in the house of the Lord, even the prophet Jeremiah said, "Amen. The Lord do so, the Lord perform thy words which thou hast prophesied, to bring again the vessels of the Lord's house and all that is carried away captive from Babylon into this place." All right, because there's going to be a time where, you know, Israel will be redeemed out of this current Babylon. Okay, you know, but in that time is coming soon. That's why you got, you know, the mass awakening of Israel right now. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this precept real fast in the book of Isaiah. Okay, let me just grab this real fast. Bear with me for a second, right? Just to make that point. This is Isaiah chapter 9. Chapter 9, verse 2. It says, "The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light." Okay, who are the people that walked in darkness? The Israelites. All right, our people are blinded. Okay, but now this great light, all right, which refers to the spirit of Yahushua, okay, is now dawning upon us. The Lord is opening up our minds to this knowledge. Okay, all right, because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is reserving 7,000 men that's not going to bow down the knee to Baal. Okay, meaning that the elect are not going to compromise their stance to take the MOTB, because out of all of Israel that are here in the bulk of America, all right, 2/3 are going to be condemned, destroyed. Okay, But then you got the remnant that's going to forsake, all right, the beast system, this man and what he's getting ready to offer unto all of us, all right? And that's just going to be through the Spirit of the Lord. The Lord's going to allow us to endure unto the end. That's the faith that the Lord has given us, okay? It says, they that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them have the light shined, okay? So our minds have been opened, right? Matter of fact, let me get one more precept, okay? Let me get this in the book of 2 Corinthians, just to make another point. Chapter 4, verse 6, it says, for the Most High who commanded the light to shine out of darkness have shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh in the face of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us. See? All right, that's the reason why we know, we got the eye shall to see. We can understand what these devils are getting ready to do, okay? You know, while the rest of, you know, our people in this world, they don't know what the hell is going on. That's why I put the title, Jake is the frog being boiled in the pot still, you know? like the elders was going into, Jake still lined up at McDonald's, still, you know, grabbing the McRibs, okay? All right, Jake still worried about football. Jake still worried about baseball. Jake still worried about what's going on in the world, all right? Lost through, okay? You know? But now we foreseeing the evil, and what are we doing through the Spirit? We're hiding ourselves in the secret place, okay? We're detaching ourselves from this world more and more. And that's the Spirit of the Lord, okay? That's mercy right there. The Lord is giving us, okay? Because see, these devils are getting ready to make major moves real soon. They're pushing fast, you know? All right? And I've been meditating the fact that they got this Epstein thing going on, okay? It's more of a reason to know that their shame is being exposed, all right? To use that frustration to come down upon Jake with what? Great wrath, okay? Because he knows that he had but a short time, you know? All right? People are starting to lash out, crash out, you know? And we're talking about Edomites. Their own people are crashing out, you know? Okay? Which is prophecy speaking. You know, it's getting ready to be a great war, civil war here in Babylon the Great. You know, okay. So this thing is getting ready to go belly up real soon. All right, but the Lord has been what? Preparing our minds. All right, you know, that's why the scriptures tell you in the book of Revelation chapter 19 and 10, right, that the spirit of prophecy is the spirit of Yahweh Shai. Okay, so we have the spirit of Yahweh Shai with us, man. Okay, you know, the hidden things that, you know, was kept secret, you know, it has only been revealed to the initiated souls. All right, but you got Israelites out there that are false teachers, false prophets. They're not warned of these things, or they're trying to slowly put it in there, you know, that they've been talking about the digital money and, you know, acting like they've been preaching about it. But their congregation getting ready to find out that they've been being bamboozled, okay? Because a lot of these leaders are bought and paid for, you know? Just like in the ancient times, okay? Nothing new under the sun. You got the righteous prophets and you always got the wicked prophets, you know? And that's why the scriptures say you got to learn who to discern who has the truth or not, you know? And as it tells you in the book of, what is that? Malachi. Okay, if a brother won, you could post it on the comment board. All right, but let's grab this as well. Matter of fact, this is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 27. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulders, and his yoke from off thy neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing." All right, so the burdens of the world, the frustrations, right? Everything that, you know, has been weighing on us. All right, we now have the relief of our mind, knowing that, okay, this is not the end all be all. You know, we don't have to live our life to the ways of the world. You know how Jake think. You know that the black woman raises up her sons, and all she teaches her sons to go play ball. You know, hey, shalom, shahar, Yahweh, shalom, Yahweh, shabrakatah, brother. They stay strong, bro. You know, they teach their sons go play ball, right? If you got rap skills, go be a rapper. You know, Go do things pretty much to elevate yourself in this world. Now we just getting by. You know, we really strangers here, you know, sojourners here, okay? You know, this ain't our last stop. And that's what gives us comfort, knowing that we got a way out, okay? And our way out is through who? Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? That's why we cool with our 9 to 5. We cool, you know, with the little woman that we got, you know what I'm saying? The money that we got to take care of our bills. We content with the small things because we not worried about what the rest of the world is worried about, man. You know? So our minds have been anointed through this knowledge, okay? We're being separated right now, you know? More and more as these prophecies are coming to pass, man, okay? The Lord is separating us from this world. You see what I'm saying? Because they getting ready to make this thing happen. Let me go back to this video because I paused it for a second, but I was playing it. I'm gonna finish it out, and I'm gonna go back to that Jeremiah. All right, because you know we always get straight to the point on that Jeremiah 28:8. But reading the whole chapter is good because you get a full context of what's going on. So let's play this part right here again.
Say something, the company, let's say, sometimes the government does this. Hey, we're not forcing you to do anything. We're just going to make your life really, really difficult until you comply.
You see, so, and that's what they're going to do with the job. See, they're going to say, oh, it's voluntary. You know, you can choose to not take it. You know, but then what companies could do, just like he said, make it really hard for you to force you to take it, and that's how Esau gets down. Okay, you know. The scriptures say that. Matter of fact, let me grab that as well. They frameth laws by mischief. Okay, all these laws that Esau set up, and it's to do what? Trap you, right? Trap you in the system. Trap you. Okay, you know, keep you stuck, and then ultimately to keep you going off. Okay, you know who they want you to go off? They want you to go off against Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, they want you to offend your powers, so that way you be destroyed. And then they could be justified in what? Continuously ruling. That's why the Lord is making a separation between 2/3 and the elect that are standing firm upon the foundation of, you know, Yahweh Shai and what we believe on, you know? Because when they say, oh, you gotta take, we're gonna be like, fuck you. Okay, you know? you can stick it where it don't shine. Okay, you know? So this is Psalms 94:20. It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the souls of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. See, right? And we always constantly bring out the accuser of thy brethren. You know, that's how these devils get down behind closed doors. They accusing Jake to the Most High of how Jake is being wicked, going off, doing all type of evil works, okay, you know, and they never hold themselves accountable to the reason why Jake is doing these things, you know, and how Jake got introduced to these type of lifestyles that Jake is in. All right, because these devils are the ones that showed Jake to do all this crazy shit, man. You know, dope dealers, right? All right, you know, trafficking children. You know what I'm saying? All right, slanging guns, right? Creating ghost guns. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, scamming, a lot of shit that Jake be out here doing. How the hell Jake get the knowledge to figure this shit out, to do this shit, man? You know, they learn from Esau, okay, get good at it, and then they start showing other Jakes, and now it just become a culture. You know what I'm saying? Now you got a bunch of little niggas running around scamming everybody. You know, bunch of little niggas running around with guns and they draws. How these little niggas getting all these goddamn guns? You know, where these guns popping up at? You know what I'm saying? But somehow they got it. They in high school with guns and shit. You know? It's crazy. But that's how the devil get down. You know? He go behind closed doors. Look at your people. They're filthy, they're abominable. They don't need to rule. But they act like, and these Edomites act like the Most High don't know what they doing. The Most High see you. Okay? He know you setting Jake up. That's why when you start chipping the masses of the people, all right? Just know that the Most High getting ready to take you down. So when you make your next move, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai gonna make they move against you, you know? And all we doing is just sitting back and waiting patiently, you know? You know, right about now, we got our spiritual popcorn, okay? Because these prophecies are speaking, all right? So let me, like I said, let me go back, all right? Because don't get bamboo. You try to yiquab, you yiquab your way through it. They at your job. If they introduce at your job, they say it's not mandatory. Well, we'll keep working until they make that shit mandatory, and then that's the day you walk the fuck off that job. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Walk off straight off that job. Yep, that's a good precept right there. Job from the brother Shahar Yahweh, Job 18:5. Yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the sparks of his fire shall not shine. Right, the light of the wicked is his knowledge. All right. Is there any more knowledge in Teman? Okay, which Teman goes back into the Germans, right? And they're supposed to be the more wiser of the Edomites. Okay. And you see what's going on with these devils. They just getting more sloppier and sloppier with their mass school shootings, right? All these different psyops that they putting forth. It's just getting bad out here, okay? Because they're being forced to rush this thing because Yahweh Bashim Abishai is throwing a monkey wrench in their plans. All right, the book of Job, the 20th chapter. When he getting ready to try to fill his belly, he thinking everything is all to the good. That's when the Most High gonna crash this man's party, man. Okay, that's why we ain't got nothing to worry about. Slack. Okay, but let me go back to the video. You can post the other verse after that too, bro. It's some more up on that.
Sector or the public sector are always suspicious when they start out supposedly voluntary. Usually there's some kind of suggested coercion behind it. So Representative Thomas is getting ahead of this problem. We commend her for it. And this should be a very popular bipartisan idea. It is certainly something that Washington Policy Center would support. And we'll see how that bill does. It also brings up this apocalyptic future of science fiction that you hear about, where people are being turned into robots or, advance and be mechanized. The more digital technology we have, the better. It's the first step to a brave new world. I know that this all sounds kind of over the top, but we have seen that ideas start out small and then they tend to grow. It reminded me from a policy point of view of the original thinking of the Social Security number that was enacted first in the 1930s. It only applied to people who were in the workforce, number one. And number two, the government only assigned you a Social Security number when you got your first job. So when you entered the workforce, you got a number. Well, here we are today in the modern world, and Social Security numbers are now issued mandatorily to every baby that's born in the United States. So it went from being a number for workers and for a social insurance program like Social Security to now it's our national identification number that applies to everybody. So I'm just explaining that that's the way these things grow, and we need to watch out. I'm not necessarily saying that Social Security numbers are bad. It's just that they start out small and then gradually expand, and by the way, become a mandate for everyone. So it's something to watch out for.
If you found this informative, share it with a friend and consider checking out one of our...
Yep, so we understand prophecy, okay, and that's where prophecy reigns supreme, because see, no matter how much they want to, push this thing to where, you can fight against it, there really ain't no fight against it. This has to happen, okay. All right. Matter of fact, let's the Lord said what his words shall stand. Let's get that as well. All right, his word shall stand, because see, when you understand the Heavenly Father's will, right? You understand that this chip is really the Most High's chip, okay? So what Esau's pushing is prophecy. That's why John the Revelator, he got to see it, all right? John the Revelator, he got to see the chip, all right? He got to see the times that we are in. He got to see mass people get chipped up, all right? He got to see people getting hauled off to concentration camps. The 10th part of the city, he got to see America be destroyed, right? The nuclear missiles. John the Revelator saw a lot, okay? When you read in the book of Revelation, he saw a lot, All right, so we're in those times where now we're living through it, okay? So in essence, we're living in some real beautiful times, All right, because we're seeing how America's being dismantled. We're seeing this demolition style destruction of this economy. All right, the dollar's on its way out. And what do you think they're going to bring in after the dollar is destroyed and collapses? They're going to bring in the digital. Well, they already got digital money, but they're going to make the digital money tied to the chip. Okay? So that's what we're seeing through the spirit. All right? So matter of fact, like I said, let me bring this out real fast. Let me see. Where is it at? This is Yep, here it is. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10. It said, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasures. All right. So the Most High said his counsel shall stand. Okay. What he made known to us, all right, is going to be performed. All right. That's why the scripture tells you in the book of 2nd Ezra. Let's get it real fast. 2nd Ezra, chapter 4, verse 37. 2nd Ezra chapter 4, verse 37. And the water bro for posting that other piece of the precept. It says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Okay? So the Most High, he's not going to move this prophecy. He's not going to stop it. He's going to allow it to happen. Okay? Because this is going to be a great trial of our faith. Okay? Our faith is getting ready to be tested. All right? And that's why the scriptures say we have to put on as the elect. Right? Let's grab that as well. Okay? Been meditating on that as well. All right? That's a heavy scripture. All right? Colossians chapter 3 and verse 12, it says, put on therefore as the elect of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, holy and beloved bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering. Okay? Right? Forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as the Mashiach forgave you, so also do ye. So our minds are changing. Okay? We're becoming more in the spirit of Yahushai. Okay? All right? And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. Okay? All right? And that's what the Lord is doing. He's maturing us. He's perfecting us. Okay? You know? He's building up our faith. He's building up our confidence. You know? All right? And these good practices that we're practicing now, okay, the Lord is going to look down upon us with favor, especially in the times that we need him the most, you know, because we are making the effort to change. And that's part of the sacrifice that we're giving to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai that Paul spoke about in Romans, the 12th chapter, okay, as we separate ourselves from the world, all right, you know, because the Lord doesn't accept the physical sacrifices anymore, you know, the turtle doves, right, the animal sacrificing. No, we're the sacrifice now, okay? So now, as we're the sacrifice, these is the mindset that you got to be in. You got to put this on, all right, and do these things, okay? And these are what's pleasing in the eyesight of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, okay? Right? Now, it says right here, matter of fact, let's go right here to what I was quoting, to Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. Let's read this in the NLT. It says, because you have obeyed my command to persevere, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to this world. You see? All right. So that's where the separation is going to be. The Most High, Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, is going to put a test on everybody. But those that belong to the world, right, they're going to fail the test. Esau got Jake, you know, 2/3 of our people. They're going to line up for this thing. You're going to start seeing chipping stations all over the place, you know. And Esau going to be right there, happy as hell, chipping Jake up, you know. Okay. And you know, again, more and more Israelites are having dreams on getting chipped. Right? I did a lesson, I believe either last week or early this week, where Jake said that he had a dream that he got the chip, and then after he got it, he totally lost the faith. You know, the faith that, and he didn't even believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. He believed in JC. So how much more a man that believes on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua that lines up and go gets it? You know, it's a spirit that's gonna cover you. That's gonna let you know you failed the test. You gonna be destroyed. That's scary, bro. You know, that's scary as hell. Okay, that's why we gotta fight for this thing and maintain these good works, because you know the life of every man on the earth is in the hands of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, as it tells you in Hebrews 10:31. Okay, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. You know, okay. Hey, Judas Iscariot, he didn't think he was gonna betray the Lord, but he went and betrayed the Lord. You know, and he was used as an example. And you had Apostle Hall that went into a lesson going into that. Men of the camps that might try to hide and act like they ain't got it, but they got it, and then you never know. The Lord might show a sign of a man that's teaching, right? And he started to grow you know, maybe some blemishes of cancer coming from his hand in between his palms, you know? And you know, a brother that's in the spirit discerning is gonna be like, "What the fuck, bro? Why your hair looking like that?" Oh shit, Jake went and got the chip on the low, you know. All right, that grievous sore that it speaks about, man. Okay, that man, this truth is deadly serious. That's why we constantly warn brothers. You know, I speak to myself first and foremost. You know, we gotta take this truth seriously. You see what I'm saying? This ain't nothing to joke about. Okay. All right, because most Jakes ain't never been in a situation to where they gotta go 3-4 days without eating. You know, they gotta duck and hide and evade people from murdering them. All right, taking what you got. You know, getting, you know, or being snatched up and thrown into these harsh ass concentration camps. Which oh man, let me see if I got it. Let me just give me 1 second, since I made mention of that. All right, just give me 1 second, because you had an individual who got thrown into one of those ICE facilities, and he spoke about it. He spoke about actually what it was like being in there, you know, and it's a harsh condition. All right, it wasn't nothing nice. Let me see if I got it. If I got it, I'm gonna play it. You know, be watching so much. We be trying to. Oh, matter of fact, I got it right here. Here it is. Check this out.
Describe it as probably like a modern day concentration camp. It's a bunch of temporary tents. There's probably room for 1,000 detainees in each tent. I believe there's like 5 tents. I've been locked in the same room now for 4.5 months. I've had barely any outside time, no fresh air, no sunshine. I could probably count on both hands the amount of times I've been outside. So just locked in this room all day, every day. We've got 2 TVs on the wall. We get 3 meals a day, very, very small meals, kid-sized meals. So everybody's hungry, everybody's tired. We've got no commissary, we've got no options to get extra food or anything like that. And the conditions here are filthy. The toilets, the showers, completely nasty, very rarely cleaned. I'm in fear for my life down here, honestly, because people have been killed by the staff here, by the security staff, you know, and you just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. You don't know if there's going to be riots, you don't know if there's going to be, you don't know what's going to happen. It's a nightmare down here. The best way I could describe it is probably like a modern day concentrate.
You see? All right, and that ain't no joke right there. All right, you said unsanitary showers. You don't get no days. You don't get no rec. They say you go outside for rec, play in the yard. You don't get no visits. No family members coming to visit you. Check how you phone calls. You ain't getting no phone calls. You know. That's why you got to be strong in the Lord. You know. All right, and that's why you got to trust in the miracles. Like Elder Wamba goes into all the time. He goes into the resurrection of Yahweh Shai, you know, through life or death, being raised up, right? You know, because what they've been bringing back the guillotines. They got smart guillotines. You know, people gonna be getting beheaded. He was saying they were murdering people up in there. So the Lord had him survive that shit just to speak on it, so that way we can use it to just paint a picture that, you know, when these things arrive, you know, you're gonna have to trust on Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Okay, let me get this one as well. Okay, this is Revelation chapter 2 verse 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. All right, which is not an exact number of 10 days. Okay, but be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So that's also part of the testing. All right, as I was reading in Revelation the 3rd chapter. Okay, we're gonna get the word out there. Try. Okay, let's go back to Revelations 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right? I believe it's the word try. Let me see. Let me grab that real fast. To try, which is periazo. Okay, let you hear it.
Strong's G 3985. Pyrazzo.
Periazo. All right, which means to try whether a thing can be done, to attempt, endeavor, to try, make a trial of test, to test for the purpose of ascertaining his quality or what he thinks or how he will behave himself, in a good sense, in a bad sense, to test one's maliciously, craftily, to put to the proof of his feelings or judgment, to try or test one's faith, virtue, character by enticement to sin. So the concentration camps to being put in there, that's going to be a trial of your test to see, even through that sense of hardship, right? Going through that straight gate. If you're going to be persuaded to sin, all right, which how would you sin? By taking the chip. Okay, because sin just goes into what? Transgression of the law, or transgression of a commandment. You know what I'm saying? So it says, to solicit to sin, to tempt, of the temptation of the devil. Salaki, it says to inflict evil upon one in order to prove his character, and the steadfastness of his faith. Okay, you know, that's the channel, my name's channel. You know, stand fast in the faith. All right, you know, because we all got to stand fast in this faith. You know, be unmovable. Okay, you know, one of my favorite trees is the palm trees. You know, yeah, you know, the tropical storms. They got 180-mile winds beating on the tree. They also produce water to loosen up the soil. But the fibers within the palm trees, you can look this up yourself. The fibers in the palm tree, they have anchor-like fibers within them. And then the roots, saying messing with my my throat, it's like it. But then the roots, they don't just spread like other regular, you know, trees. All right, they have anchor-like cables of roots that also spread, but then they also dig deep into the soil to lock themselves in. So even if the soil gets weak, they won't never fall over. Okay, and that's majority of the palm trees. All right. So we got to be anchored in, you know, as even matter. I'm going to get it after this. Let me just read a little bit more. I'm going to get it. It says, men are said to tempt God by exhibiting or distrust, as though they wish to try whether he is not justly distrusted. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, let me get this real fast, right? All right, let me get this real fast. The anchor. Okay. This is Hebrews chapter 6, verse Hebrews chapter 6. I'm gonna start at verse 18 in the NLT. It says, so Yahweh has given both his promise and his oath. These two things are unchangeable, because it is impossible for the Most High to lie. Therefore, we who have fled to him for refuge can have great confidence, right? And we should all know what the word confidence means. It means to have faith, all right? To be with faith. Okay, as we hold to the hope that lies before us. This hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls. It leads us through the curtain into God's inner sanctuary. Okay, so we have a strong, trustworthy of an anchor to our souls. All right, meaning that, like Paul said, no matter if it's through death, or even if an angel tries to persuade your mind to tell you to go off, we're more than conquerors. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is going to give us the spirit to endure through whatever comes our way, you know, because the elect are going to make it 100%. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's through death or being beamed up into the ships. All right? You know, because you're going to have brothers that's going to be beheaded, you know. That's also part of the test. You know, John the Baptist. No. Yeah. John the Baptist. John the Baptist, when you read about before he died, what did he do? He cussed out who was it? Who did John cuss out? You know, he was messing with his brother's wife. And he told him that what you doing, you going off, you know? And the woman, she used her daughter to persuade him to, you know, cut John the Baptist's head off. But he still stood for what was right, you know? Even though he got locked up and they had the power over him. So that's how the elect are going to be. I'm just using John the Baptist as an example. Okay? But it tell you that in the book of Revelation, 20th chapter. So when Esau tried to persecute us or whatever, he, you know, thinking he going to do to offset prophecy, it's not going to offset prophecy, you know? Revelation 20:4 says, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and for the word of the Most High, in which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with a Mashiach 1,000 years. All right, so that first 1,000 years is the representation of what? Restoring the earth, putting everything back in order. Okay, but the point is that just like, you know, John stood for what was right, the elect will stand for what is right, you know? All right, even when Esau tries to, you know, discredit us, he's going to try to see if we're going to, you know, abandon what we believe in. But nah. Hold on, give me a second, brother. Let me grab the water. That ain't nothing but Satan. All of a sudden, my throat is itchy. Shit. Bear with me, Hakim. All of a sudden, my throat is itchy. All right, now we ain't gonna, you know, abandon. All right, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, whether it's through, you know, death or being beamed up. All right, because we gonna be in the spirit, just like the Maccabee and brother's mother. You know, she had an iron-like stomach. You know, she had a strong stomach to, you know, be, you know, fearless in front of, you know, them that were gonna, you know, boil them, cut their body parts up. You know, and she told her sons, look, whatever you lose here, you're going to get it back. You know? And that's what we got to believe in. This mortal body, this flesh, is prone to all different types of diseases. It's prone to all different types of ailments. You know what I'm saying? It gets weak. It ages. Man, we got a new body that is prepared for us. You know? That's never going to get old. That's never going to get sick. Never going to die. Okay? You know? So even us, our spirit, you know, leaving this body, okay, we gonna inherit something even greater. We're leveling up. We're going from you know, greatness to greatness, man. You know what I'm saying? As the scriptures describe. Okay, so you gotta be able to leave this world behind, even if it's through death. You know, it is what it is. Okay. I'm gonna get one more precept. And I'm going to close it out. Point is pretty much made. But I'm going to get this right here in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. I want to say it's the 3rd chapter. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 4. It says, for though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. and having been a little chastised. All right, so this is what the scriptures describe it as. It's described as a little chastisement. Okay, they shall be greatly rewarded. Okay, for Yahweh by Shem Yahushai proved them and found them worthy for himself. That's the elect. When the elect are found worthy for himself, guess what's going to be given? As gold in the furnace have he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks amongst the stubble. That's power right there. All right. The elect going to obtain glorious bodies. Okay. Just like Yahweh Shah obtained a glorious body. Okay. It says, they shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. So there was a brother that had a video of being beheaded during those times, and he said right when the guillotine came down upon his neck, all right, he just kept imagining him raising up and strangling Esau. All right, so in the moment that his head rolled, that's exactly what happened. And he had Esau's neck in his hand. He said, it's not over, motherfucker. All right, so that's a cold scene right there, you know? Cause that, you know, some shit like that would shock the hell out you. Oh shit, you thought you just murdered him, but now he putting you to death, you know what I'm saying? All right, body just got changed in the twinkling of an eye. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that is going to be happening for bros, man. You know? All right? I always crack up when I think about that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing impossible with Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Okay? So let me keep reading, right? It says, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he have care for his elect. But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imagination, which have neglected righteous and forsaken the Lord. All right, so we know what their punishment is going to be. Okay, all right, spirits created for vengeance, destroying them, right? You know, still being gunned down by the firing squads or the guillotines. Right? Famine, pestilence, okay? And then the cherry on top of everything that's going to be going on out here is going to be the missiles. The missiles is going to be the cherry on top for all the different destructions that the Lord is going to send to all the wicked 2/3 of our people, even the heathens that are here in Babylon the Great, you know? All right? So us overcoming, okay? Hey, it's going to be a marvelous reward and victory that the elect is going to receive, okay, from what? Enduring, you know? Not switching up your stance, but staying perfectly aligned with the will of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, man. All right? And that's why we just got to maintain the course. Maintain the course, okay? You know? Don't waver to the left, don't waver to the right. You know what I'm saying? Okay? And Yahweh by Shem Yahushai going to, you know, fill in the gaps of the things that is out of our control. Okay, and that's what we got to start remembering. Whatever's out of our control, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai already got it covered. He already got it covered. So you ain't got to stress. You know, don't stress. Pray about it. Okay, I prayed last night, and the spirit had it to where I just felt the power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai surge through my body. You know? And that brought comfort to my mind, because I'm like, yeah, that's all we need. You know what I'm saying? The Lord want to hear us crying to us, and we're gonna cry in those times, and the Lord gonna do things for us, man. You know? So I'm out of here, brothers. Lord wants us to edify to the Lord's elect. All right, I want to say shalom, until next time. Shalom, brothers.